Tensura. The Abyss Demon by Wahab. Chapter 63. In the capital of the Ingrasha Kingdom, a group of mysterious people gathered. Well, Laplace, it sounds like you've been through a lot. So did you find out what the Western Holy Church really is? Well, actually, security was so tight, I couldn't get anywhere. Is that so? Have you found any clues at least? Laplace shrugged and sighed. Sheesh. After all I went through to get this info, I figured I could name my price and sell it high. But you see right through me, don't ya? Because I know you're a liar. You're so mean. I really feel bad for that guy who's got no idea he's wrapped up in your schemes. Laplace stared into the eyes of the boy. After all, you are the weirdo with the twisted ambition hidden behind the face of the Grand Master. Yuki Kagurazaka. I'm honored by your praise, but you can't back out of the job, Yuki retorted. Man, you're indomitable. Laplace scratched the back of his head. Oh, no need for complaints. I'll pay your full price. In fact, our demon lord friend's consciousness has taken root for a while now. He's done a wonderful job transferring over to his homunculus. The president is finally coming back. Where is he? Let me see him. He's been with us the entire time, the boy said, turning to the blonde elf in the room standing by the door. Huh? This lovely lady? Laplace burst out into laughter, realizing who she truly was. What the hell's with that look? Did your tastes change? Quiet, Laplace. You dare take that attitude with me, the demon lord Kazalian, when you haven't seen me in 200 years. Laplace bowed respectfully. Welcome back, President. The moderate Harlequin Alliance has been waiting for ya. Myself, Footman, Tyr and Clayman too. Sorry to put a damper on your touching reunion, but the demon lord Kazalian isn't fully revived yet. He's right. In all honesty, my power is nowhere near the power I had in my prime. I know my soul's settled in this homunculus body, but it's so fragile, I'd tear it apart if I unleashed my full force. I can't really call it a complete resurrection. Leon Cromwell. Curse that bastard. I wish you wouldn't complain about your new body. It was pretty expensive, you know? I know that, boss. It was custom made in Sarian, right? It's weak and it's not in my preferred look. As Kigali complained about her appearance, Laplace kept on snickering because of that. Kigali yelled at him. Are you going to stop laughing, Laplace? Anyways, let's get to the point. Yuki called the attention of the two. He then turned to Laplace. You got something on the Western Holy Church, right? Well, if our boss is calling you boss, then I guess you're my boss too. I'll tell you what I know without asking for any deals. Laplace then went on to explain the results of his investigation, not forgetting to leave out the part where he came across a high-ranking vampire that could manipulate blood. You said he shot a red beam at you? Kigali asked. Yep. That's called blood ray. It turns blood into magical particles. It's the signature attack of the demon lord Valentine, also known as the Bloody Tyrant. A demon lord? You serious? Laplace exclaimed in shock. Fleeing was the right choice, Laplace. That man was an even match for me in my prime. Every time I fought him in the past, the damage to the surrounding was immense. Kigali explained. Damn, because of that we had a discussion which led to the custom of the majority vote. Are you talking about Walpergus? Yuki asked. Yes. The requirements of 3 votes to move forward on a proposal is a remnant of the time when there were 8 demon lords. So if that guy is demon lord Valentine, I wonder what he's doing there. The most likely explanation is that the cloistered emperor was actually a demon lord. Yuki gave his thoughts on the matter. Valentine see humans and demi-humans as no more that food. If such a man is claiming to be the guardian of humanity, there must be something to it. Kigali narrowed her eyes. Regardless, this is useful information. Well done, Laplace. Yuki smiled, revealing traces of joy he now felt now that he had a powerful tool to potentially take down the Holy Church. I'd like to investigate the church further, but if the demon lord Valentine is there, I guess we can't be careless. Yuki said, pondering their next course of action. So that's all the information I have for you. Speaking of demon lords, what's Clayman up to these days? Yuki scowled at Laplace's unwelcome question. Well, that wound up to be a total failure. Failure? Yeah. Everything went fine until we had Toru fight against Hinata. Then it all fell apart, pretty much. Yuki briefed the others on how things unfolded. First, Clayman won over the demon lord Milam, thanks to the Orb of Domination. In order to test the potency of the domination, Milam was asked to fight Carrion as well as destroy the capital of Eurasania. That way they'd be able to harvest the souls of the enslaved humans in the capital. Unfortunately, Milam declared war on Carrion. Thanks to that, Carrion had a week-long head start to prepare for the battle and evacuated the capital. Anyways, we couldn't collect any souls in the Beast Kingdom, so we decided to check things out in Falmouth next. I used a few back channels to give them intelligence on Tempest and whet the appetite of their greedy king and advisors. You wouldn't believe how quick they bit, Yuki explained. Unfortunately, that Majin, Toru, survived his encounter with Hinata. I'm telling you, you can't let your guard down around him for a moment, Yuki complained. I've never seen a plan formulated by my unique schemer, go quite this far awry. The clearly angered Kigali said. The unlikeliness of it all had even Laplace at a loss for words. Clayman surveyed the battlefield after it was over, and according to his reports, there were absolutely no corpses left to be found. That could only mean a monster was summoned or created using the bodies as an offering. Subsequently, Clayman's awakening failed. So what's Clayman up to right now? Awaiting further orders, said Yuki. At this point we can't do anything bolder than what we're doing now. Luckily, Milam kept her end of the promise. She waited a week and then turned the capital of Eurasania to ash. So we're pulling back for now, to reconsider our strategy. Laplace said, I see. So our target now is the church, right? That's the plan. Not that it'll be easy, cautioned Kigali. We have to consider the possibility of Hinata and Valentine working as a team. Needlessly prodding them would be dangerous. The church can hardly afford to ignore the presence of the Majin Toru and his nation of monsters. With Falmouth thoroughly defeated, I doubt the other nations will be so willing to take on the mantle of waging holy war. They'll need to perform some kind of action to reaffirm their authority. Yeah, so we'll pit the church against Tempest to keep them preoccupied. If we're lucky, they might destroy each other. All we have to do is wait for an opportunity to weaken the both of them. With the little information we have on the relationship between Hinata and Valentine, we can't move carelessly. If only we can lure out the demon lord into the public so he wouldn't get in the way of our investigation, Laplace suggested. I had the same thoughts as well, Yuki spoke. Luckily for us, an opportunity has presented itself. What do you mean? Kigali asked. Clayman reported to me a few days ago. What did he say? The others asked, not liking the way Yuki was trying to create suspense. According to him, Walpergus has been called for by one of the demon lords. By who? The Chaos Creator, Demon Lord Rimuru Tempest. Laplace and Kigali were shocked to their core. As soon as Kigali heard the name, the Chaos Creator, her blue eyes narrowed sharply, reflecting a mixture of intrigue and apprehension. The Chaos Creator? Why would someone like that convene the meeting? What could he possibly want? Kigali asked, her tone laced with suspicion. Laplace, in stark contrast, reacts with his trademark nonchalance, though a flicker of unease crosses his usually jovial expression. Oi, the Chaos Creator? That ain't exactly a name y'd toss round lightly, you know, he said, his voice tinged with a mixture of curiosity and feigned amusement. A sharp grin stretches across his face, but his eyes, those perceptive eyes, betray the seriousness with which he's assessing the situation. This could either be an opportunity, or a catastrophe. Kigali states. Despite her ambition, she was wary of the movement of the Chaos Creator. His unpredictability could ruin their plans or worse. Kigali begins strategizing immediately, considering how to exploit the situation while avoiding unnecessary risks. Still, guess it's never a dull moment with us, Wonder what sort of chaos he's looking to stir up this time. Do you think he knows about Clayman's actions in the forest? Laplace said. Despite his outward demeanor, Laplace's mind raced. His instincts scream that this isn't just another routine gathering. It is well known that Demon Lord Rimuru Tempest and the Storm Dragon Veldora are close and most likely inhabit the forest together. Could this banquet be about Clayman? He casts a quick glance at Kigali, gauging her reaction, before adding in a slightly lower tone. Reckon it's time we tread carefully, boss. Someone with a name like that? They're not the type y'all want to tick off for fun. Is it possible for Clayman to sit this one down, and not attend the banquet? Impossible. It is mandatory that everyone attends when the Walpergus is convened. If Clayman doesn't attend, he may incur the ire of those monsters, Kigali explained. Is he that dangerous? Yuki asked, ignorant to the true nature of a primordial. Demon Lords Guy Crimson and Rimuru Tempest are the only demon lords that are actually demons. Worse, they are primordials, the oldest and strongest demons in the world. If one of them were to ever move against humanity, the world most likely wouldn't survive. Kigali explained, recalling all the stories she's heard of the Chaos Creator while reminiscing about the fraction of Guy's power she once glimpsed. What is he like? The Chaos Creator, I mean? Yuki asked, wanting to know how much effort it would take to subdue such an existence. Kigali, understanding the thought process of Yuki, answered honestly, I don't know. I've never met him. What? Why? By the time I joined the Demon Lords, the Demon Lord Rimuru Tempest stopped attending Walpergus. Therefore, I don't know how strong he is. I don't know what he looks like. I know nothing about him. Kigali continued, this is the first time I'm even hearing about an ancient Demon Lord convening the Walpergus. Since they are the oldest, their influence and power is massive. It's no surprise that Demon Lord Rimuru Tempest didn't get the approval of 2 other Demon Lords to convene the Walpergus. Wait. Everyone is mandated to attend. How come Demon Lord Rimuru Tempest never attends the banquet? Yuki asked. That just shows how much influence the Demon Lord has. I see. Well, this is the opportunity we've been waiting for. Convening the Walpergus would bring all the Demon Lords together. That would drag Valentine out of his holy domain. If we can just find the timing to keep Hinata away from the mountains as well, Laplace's inquiry should advance by leaps and bounds. Huh? You want me to go back there? Why wouldn't we? Oh boy, Laplace thought, but Yuki and Kigali weren't interested in his feedback. They had the outline of a plan, now it was time to work out the details. Rimuru's POV. My first decision. Kill Clayman. That's set in stone. He went too far and needs to suffer the repercussions, to pay for what he did. Moving on, our future direction. Hume is a popular guy in Falmouth, hailed as a champion by most. We'll take advantage of this to have the current king of Falmouth released from imprisonment and forced to accept my terms. I want the kingdom of Falmouth to be a thing of the past by the time we're done. Regarding Milam, I'm not worried. Although, she's quite playful, there must be a reason why she attacked Carrion. I'll find out all about it at Walpergus. The Holy Church isn't much of a problem. I will talk to Luminous regarding the entirety of her doctrines. If she refuses, oh well, goodbye Lubelius. I kicked things off by taking a report from Soe. Clayman was on the move, apparently, and we needed to hear all the details and confer over what to do. Which is the reason why every one of my executives is present in the meeting hall. Outside of native Tempestians, there was Hume, Mayulan and Grucius, along with the Beastketeers. I wanted to get straight to business, but before that, I have to introduce you to some people, I said, glancing to Diablo, who was behind me, as well as Chiron and Enzo, who were standing by the side. This is Diablo, and those are his subordinates Enzo and Chiron. They are really strong, and we can rely on them. I plan to put Diablo to work as a second secretary. So I'd like you to treat them well. They do seem well guarded. I imagine they are just as experienced as you say, Rimuru-sama. With Hikaru's stamp of approval, everyone safely assumed that Diablo and his dependents weren't people to be messed with. Without further complaints, they immediately became one us. Everyone, I would deeply appreciate your guidance and encouragement, Diablo bowed. I urged Shion to teach him the ropes of the job for me. Now Gabiru. Sir, the Dragonute looked ill at ease in the gathering of the top brass. He nervously shot to his feet upon hearing his name. As of today, you're in charge of development. It's a temporary position, but you'll be at the top of the ranks. Make me proud, all right. Yes, sir. I, Gabiru, will devote my all to this task. Good. I turn to the others. It's time to discuss our plan for the future. This has everything to do with Hume and the Beastketeers, so I want you to listen carefully. Hi Rimuru-sama. Hume responded nervously. He probably still finds it hard to believe that I'm the Demon Lord Rimuru Tempest. As we all know, Clayman is already as good as dead, after the stunt he pulled. I started Behind the scenes, as Falmouth attacked, it was Clayman controlling Myulan and all the rest. There's a pretty good chance he's the one who sicked Milam and Frey on Urizania, too. I have no intention of letting him go, I said. I then told everyone my plan. Cleaning up the kingdom of Falmouth, my intention to keep the Western Holy Church in check and the rescue of Carrion, who may or may not be alive. Rigurd, I'm leaving negotiations with the Western nations to you. I want you to emphasize on how mad I am that one of their member nations attacked Tempest. With that, they'd try their absolute best to be on our good side. You can use my name to threaten them however you want, but don't go overboard. As you wish. You can count on me, Rimuru-sama. He sounded ready for the job. The other elders looked just as enthusiastic about it, practically bursting with confidence. Benimaru, I turned to the commander-in-chief of the army. Hold together the results of everyone's evolution. If we want to make use of all our forces against Clayman, we need to know what our strengths are. Understood. Rimuru-sama. He was brimming with confidence. Shion, I'll have you interrogate our prisoners. Yum and Myulan, you'll help her with that. Make them talk as much as you can about the state of Falmouth, and then we'll take the kingdom. You can count on me, master. I happily accept the task, Rimuru-sama. Shion was ready. I made sure to instruct her not to kill anyone, because I easily imagined her doing so otherwise. The Beastketeers will help in crushing Clayman's army, is that clear? We are happy that you've given us a chance to be of help, Rimuru-sama. The three bowed. Good. Rebuild your strength and be ready for the coming battle. Hi, Sue. I will gather more information on Clayman as I can. As efficient as ever. I'd expect nothing else from our spy master. Just then, someone barged in. It was the guildmaster, Fuse. Sir Toru. I hurried here in accordance with the security pact between Bloomond and Tempest. He said, looking at me intensely. I could sense outside, about 50 fighters, who were here under Fuse's orders. There were so many dead in the city. How could those Falmouth bastards be so cruel? Oh, they're not dead, they're asleep. It isn't many, but I brought 50 fully armed soldiers. All of them are prepared. Falmouth's main army doesn't appear to have arrived yet, but the King of Bloomond has also sworn to mobilize the knights. The steely resolve as his eyes seemed clear to me as he spoke. Hey Fuse-kun, wait a second. Oh, forgive me, do you already have a plan? I wouldn't call it a plan. I do appreciate that Bloomond has kept its end of the deal, but it won't be necessary. I already wiped out the Falmouth army. I explained. Whaaa. Fuse choked out, utterly stupefied. I bet he wouldn't believe it. Commented Eren. Nope. Guido concurred. You must be joking. Fuse muttered under his breath. Yum walked up to him and patted him on the shoulder. I get how you feel. Just go jump in the hot spring and rest for a while. Wait. Are you trying to tell me that you decimated an army of 20,000 all by yourself? Fuse asked. That's light work for our master. Boasted Soru. The others nodded in agreement. Show the soldiers to the inn and tell them to relax. They came all this way, so be hospitable. I ordered. Of course. Just then someone else walked into the room. It was a hobgoblin. My lord, the king of Dworgen and envoys from Sarian are here to see you. He reported. Wah, the king of Dworgen and Sarian, what are they doing here? Fuse asked himself, shocked once more. Hearing the report, Vesta stood up. My lord, may I go welcome King Gazel? Eren and her group stood up as well. We would like to help welcome the visitors from Sarian, is that okay? I agreed and let them leave. Fuse was escorted outside. He followed to go see if Gazel had actually paid a visit himself. I turned to the hobgoblin. I am not in the mood to entertain anyone, turn the envoys from Sarian away. The hobgoblin bowed, leaving to carry out my order. I continued the meeting, strategizing how we would move next. On that note, I have convened the Walpergus banquet. It will happen during the next full moon, which is a couple days from now. I'm sure, Clayman will be stewing in his own juices. Although, I didn't give a reason for the meeting, those who have knowledge about Clayman's actions and remember my connection to Jura Forest may be able to piece things together. During the banquet, I will take care of Clayman while you guys handle his moving army. As soon as I said that, I realized something. I could use my status, as well as the fear humanity has for me to the fullest. This plan will definitely aid Guy in his quest to control the violent tendencies of humanity. I will use Falmouth to remind humanity about the dangers of the demon lords and show the world the folly of starting wars because of greed, and I have just the right pawns at my disposal, Dworgen and Bloomond. The plan is simple. I will carry on to reveal my identity as the ruler of Tempest to the world. Also with that, the foolish actions of Falmouth will also be told to the world. I will spread rumors about how angry I am about all of this, with me planning on taking drastic measures against the humans. But, the royalty of Dworgen, Bloomond, who have ties with Tempest, appeased me, instead begging me to show compassion for all of humanity, thereby earning my mercy and preventing the world from experiencing my wrath. I could use this to guide the actions of humanity, using Tempest and its economical power. It is impossible to eliminate corruption, greed and crimes from the world, but I can control it. If the humans refuse to reform, I'll just have Guy show them their place. I like to think of it as me being the good cop and Guy being the bad cop. When they realize how helpless they are in the face of Guy and his forces, they will turn to someone with influence and power that can act as a shield against Guy, me. I'm sure Guy would be happy to hear my plan. I discussed what I thought with the others. The humans wouldn't hesitate to seek your protection if you offered it. It's the only logical thing. I agree. Everyone was in support. Now I just have to show the world that I'm mad. I have just the perfect idea. With that out of the way, I adjourned the meeting. I will be counting in you all. Hi Rimuru-sama. Chapter 64. Errol Grimwald, an archduke of the sorceress dynasty of Sarian, the father of Aren and a relative to the emperor of Sarian. He came with a few elite soldiers of Sarian to see how Sarian could interact with the nation of monsters, Tempest. Ever since its inception, the royalties of Sarian have always had the intention to trade with Tempest. They've been monitoring its activities as best they could because they saw the potential it had as a nation located in the Jura forest. Errol especially has been keeping tabs on the nation of monsters since his daughter spends a lot of time there. Not long ago, Errol had received reports of Falmouth attacking Tempest. With no formal agreement between the two nations, Sarian couldn't mobile its military to help the budding nation. But, they quickly realized that their help wasn't needed. The 20,000 soldiers dispatched to completely wipe out the nation of monsters disappeared without a trace. This puzzled Errol. He questioned what could have happened, asking himself whether it was the doing of the king of monsters or worse. Wanting to know what happened and evaluate just how dangerous Tempest is, Errol took it upon himself to pay a visit to the place with a few elite. Although, he didn't go there with his real body as that would be dangerous. On getting there, Errol noticed how calm and serene the place was. It didn't even look like there was a war. To his surprise, Errol met the king of Dworgen himself on his way to the capital of Tempest, which was named after the demon lord, Rimuru. Well, if it isn't the king who likes to live hidden beneath the ground. What is a person of your status doing in a place like this? Errol greeted. Ah, it's you. The descendant of elves who likes to live in ridiculously high places. You came down from your city surrounded by divine trees. No, with that body, you're more likely. Gazel said, analyzing Errol. Yes, it was made using a homunculus. I can't be careful enough when meeting the king of monsters, after all. What exactly are you here for? Gazel asked. Oh, I've come to see the nation of monsters for myself, as well as its king. The fact that the storm dragon hasn't razed it to the ground probably means they have his protection, am I right? You're correct, but it's more complicated than that. What do you mean? You'll find out for yourself. Gazel replied, not wanting to say too much, believing that it would be better if Errol experienced it for himself. The hobgoblin soldiers welcomed them and showed them to a waiting room. After a couple minutes, a few people walked in. It was the group of Vesta, Aren, Guido, Cobble and Fuse. Fuse, shocked to see a legendary figure, spoke, well, I'll be damned. King Gazel Dworgo is actually here. I must be losing my marbles. I am Fuse, the guildmaster of the Adventurers Guild branch in Bloomond. He bowed slightly. Bloomond seems to be taking advantage of the uprising of Tempest to increase their influence. Errol laughed. Well, I can't deny that. Tempest has a lot of potential, you know. Aren, seeing that it was her father that came, spoke. I knew you were the one who came, Papa. What are you doing here? Errol frowned. That's no way to greet your father, you know. Well, I'm glad you're okay. Of course I am. I came here of my free will. Errol scolded. When I heard Tempest went to war, I couldn't help but worry about you. You're still an overprotective father, I see. Gazel said. I'm not overprotective. Errol is just so adorable, there's nothing else I can do. That's what most fathers would say. Anyways, Gazel turned to Vesta. What is happening now? How bad are things? Vesta bowed before explaining. His Highness is really unhappy about what's happened. There were casualties, you know. Gazel and his company frowned, knowing what could happen if Rimuru was ever angered. Casualties? How come no one told me anything? Fuse asked. Vesta continued, that's because he was able to resurrect them without issue. It turns out that. The eyes of everyone present widened, and a few gasped audibly. Wait, what did you say? Jane, who was quietly listening, shouted abruptly. If I didn't know any better, I'd have thought you said someone performed a resurrection magic. Errol laughed. Their reactions are justified. The resurrection of one person, talkless almost 200 people, is no small feat, and such a display of power would make Rimuru Tempest a god. It is an act that no mortal could hope to ever achieve. Not in this era, not the next, nor the one after that. You heard him right, Dad. Demon Lord Rimuru Tempest resurrected his people without any problem. Errol confirmed Vesta's statement. Errol and his group along with Fuse froze when they heard that name, Demon Lord Rimuru Tempest. What did you just say, sweetie? Don't just say things you don't. Demon Lord. It's true. The King of Tempest is none other than Demon Lord Rimuru Tempest. The Storm Dragon Veldora is also here. I'd advise you to rethink whatever you were planning on doing once you got here, because if you piss them off, your death won't be painless. Gazel explained. Errol, shocked to his core, was shivering in terror. He slumped onto the chair, weakness overcoming him. This is dangerous. He weakly muttered. Errol's initial reaction was one of disbelief, his sharp, steely eyes narrowing as he processes the information. A long silence follows as his mind races. The Chaos Creator, Rimuru Tempest. A primordial demon ruling a nation. His words hung in the air like a death knell. Errol, despite trying his absolute best to maintain composure, he couldn't hide the slight tremor in his hand as he grips the armrest of the chair. The implications are staggering. A primordial demon, especially the Silver King, wielding both political and martial power, is a threat unlike any other. Errol's thoughts spiral into concern for the world. He understands the immense risk of interacting with such a being, yet he also sees an opportunity. His strategic mind begins crafting contingencies and alliances. Rimuru Tempest, Errol's thoughts raced, has already forged alliances with Dworgen and Blumend. It stands to reason that Tempest values mutual growth and cooperation over conquest, an unusual trait for a primordial demon, but one we can use to our advantage. Fuse's body stiffened in the elegant audience chamber. The air seemed thicker with every word, and a cold bead of sweat trickled down Fuse's temple. He couldn't believe that the jovial, approachable figure of Toru, the king of this burgeoning nation, was actually a ruthless, terrifying demon lord. Wait, so Sir Toru is actually the demon lord Rimuru Tempest? Fuse stammered, his voice cracking halfway. His face turned pale as the realization sank in. The very being he had unknowingly treated as an ally, a mere monster king, was one of the most powerful entities in existence. His knees wobbled, and before he could finish processing, his legs gave out. Fuse crumpled to the floor in a dead faint, the weight of the revelation too much to bear. Errol remained seated, but his body betrayed him. A shiver coursed through him, so pronounced it rattled him to the very core. He tried to mask the fear bubbling up inside. Demon Lord, he whispered under his breath, his voice barely audible. His mind raced, calculating the implications, the risks, and the sheer folly of treating such a being with anything less than reverence. Dad, don't worry too much. As long as you are very respectful and don't overstep your boundaries, Rimuru-sama won't do a thing to you. Honey, this isn't, how do I tell this to the Emperor? Errol cried, suddenly feeling like he had aged a century. While everyone was grappling with the severity of the situation, Fuse had been resuscitated. Just then, a hobgoblin walked in to convey Rimuru's message. Rimuru-sama would like to have a word with the guildmaster and King Gazel. He then turned to Errol, but he will not be having an audience with you. Gazel and Fuse's knees buckled beneath them, unable to gather the courage to face such a being who was currently not in a good mood. Gazel remained silent as he followed behind the hobgoblin to Rimuru's office with Fuse tailing behind. Errol remained stunned in place. Although he knew his place, he couldn't help but laugh at how envoys from Sarian were shunned like they were nothing when many kings and queens would beg to have an audience with them. Inwardly, he couldn't tell whether to be happy or sad that he wasn't granted the chance of meeting such a legendary being. "Let's us take our leave," Errol said as he and his men walk out. Dot, 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 dot. As Gazel and Fuse approached the grand doors of Rimuru's office, an ominous weight seemed to settle over them. Each step felt heavier, as though the air itself had thickened, resisting their movement. The hallway leading to the office was eerily silent, amplifying the sound of their own footsteps. They exchanged uneasy glances but said nothing, each man consumed by his own mounting dread. When they reached the doors, an overwhelming aura washed over them like a tidal wave, making their knees nearly buckle. It was not just the pressure of raw power but an oppressive force that clawed at their very souls. The aura exuded a terrifying duality, an infinite, boundless strength intertwined with a cold, lethal intent. It felt as though death itself had taken form and was waiting just beyond the doors, sharpening its scythe. Gazel, known for his unshakable composure as the Dwarven King, found his hand trembling slightly as he reached for the handle. His warrior instinct screamed at him to retreat, to avoid what lay within. Fuse felt his usual wit abandon him. Beads of sweat formed on his brow as his thoughts spiraled into questions of his mortality. Was he truly prepared to face whatever awaited them? They could barely contain the knot of fear twisting in their chest. Their minds raced, analyzing the aura. It was not just power, it was absolute. It was the kind of authority that made even gods feel like insects. Before them, the door loomed larger than it should have, as though Rimuru's presence distorted reality itself. It was a suffocating, all-encompassing sensation that made each of them question their worth, their strength, and their very existence. Is it too late to turn back? Fuse half joked, his voice cracking under the weight of his fear. Gazel didn't respond. With a deep breath, he steadied himself, masking his unease with a stern expression. As his hand finally pushed the door open, the aura intensified, slamming into them with the force of a storm. Both men braced themselves, feeling as though they were stepping into the jaws of a beast. Whatever awaited them inside, they knew one thing for certain: this was no ordinary conversation. It was an audience with a being who could shape or shatter the world with a single thought. Rimuru's paw. Right now, I am in my office. Behind me stood Diablo and Xian. It was time to put my plan into motion. This would signify a new era for the world and I was prepared for it. The door opened to reveal Gazel and Fuse. They walked in like men entering a lion's den, their postures rigid, their breathing shallow. They were trying to mask their fear, but their efforts were futile. I leaned back slightly, resting my chin on my clasped hands. I allowed my aura to permeate the room, a deliberate show of my dominance and wrath. It wasn't just to intimidate them, it's to show them just how angry I am. I let the silence stretch for a moment longer, watching as they took tentative steps toward my desk. The tension in the air was palpable, thick enough to cut with a knife. The first to break the silence was Gazel, who bowed slightly. "It is good to see you again, Rimuru-sama." Fuse nervously bowed as well. "I am mad," I said, fixing my unblinking, piercing gaze on the two before me. "I gave humanity a chance," I said, my tone cold and measured, yet carrying a weight that seemed to echo throughout the room. "I opened my nation to peace and trade, extended my hand in friendship, and what do I get in return?" My voice dropped a fraction, turning sharper, like the edge of a blade. An unprovoked attack. Innocent lives lost. My people harmed. The tension in the room thickened, becoming almost unbearable. My aura grew heavier, pressing down on Fuse and Gazel like an invisible force. It wasn't simply oppressive, it was suffocating, but I made sure not to go overboard. I could see it in their eyes, they were scared and contemplating how to pacify me. I spoke again, my voice cutting through their thoughts like a knife. Did they think they can act with impunity? That there won't be consequences for their arrogance? I could end them, Falmouth, their allies, their entire civilization, with a single thought. They exchanged quick, panicked glances. Fuse finally found his voice, though it trembled slightly. Lord Rimuru, he began, carefully choosing his words, we understand your anger. And it's justified, truly. But perhaps there's a way to resolve this without. Without what? I interrupted, my tone icy. Without me turning their arrogance into a cautionary tale. Without me showing the world what happens when you cross me. I leaned back, my gaze never leaving them. Tell me, Fuse, why shouldn't I make an example of them? Fuse faltered, words caught in his throat. Gazel quickly stepped in, his voice calm but strained. Because the cost, my lord, would be too great. Not for you, but for the balance of the world itself. Your power is unparalleled, and if unleashed, it could reshape world. Falmouth's actions are unforgivable, but your retaliation would echo far beyond them. My eyes narrowed, my gaze flickering between the three men. Gazel continued, Rimuru-sama, your anger is righteous. But your vengeance without restraint could cost the world a lot. For a moment, I said nothing, the silence almost deafening. The tension reached its peak, both men silently praying they had said enough, or at least the right thing. In that moment, none of them doubted one chilling truth. The fate of the world hung on how I chose to respond. Fine, I have heard your pleas. I shall show leniency to the world, I said with an air of authority. Both men sighed in relief, but I wasn't done. For 2 days and 2 nights, my demons shall ravage the world relentlessly. Excluding only Bloomond and Dwargon, of course. The air grew heavy as my voice echoed. Diablo walked forward, bowing. His eyes gleamed with sadistic anticipation. I understand, my lord, Diablo said, his voice laced with reverence and glee. Your will shall be done. Gazel and Fuse stood before me, their faces pale. The both of you will make the world know how I've shown mercy in my own way. After that, I will give humanity a chance. It was all coming together. Perhaps this way, we could achieve the peace and prosperity that Veldanava sought for all of his creations.